The year is 1980, and one man named Ray Harryhausen is blowing everyone's minds with his insane stop-motion animated dinosaurs. Yeah, that's right, stop-motion used to be the main technique for bringing monsters to life on the big screen. I mean, look at that, this is so awesome! That is until 1993, when one certain movie came and forever sealed the fate of stop-motion monsters. And this movie was Jurassic Park. With its absolutely outrageous computer visual effects, this movie forever revolutionized how monsters were brought to the big screen, thus leaving stop-motion behind in the dust. What a disgrace! So today is the day where we're gonna write this into a Legos. Now there are a bunch of points on our magnificent checklist of film essentials that we need to complete to make this T-Rex scene. So let's start with the first one, assembling our main cast of characters. So tell me, class, what is the most important thing we need to make a T-Rex scene?
A T-Rex?
Precisely, however, this is where our first problem comes up, because the official LEGO T-Rex is perfect for playing, but not so much for animating. Let me explain. As you can see, the T-Rex head, mouth and legs can only be moved in these specific intervals, because there is this clicking mechanism that keeps them in those exact positions. Which is rather problematic, because with stop motion, you want to be able to make those microscopic movements, to really make everything look super smooth. Which this clicking thing is preventing us from doing. Which means that it is time for some dino surgery. Oh no! The main culprit are those little teeth that cause the locking. So using some sandpaper, I started to smooth all of them out. And with some sticky tack for stabilization, because he can't stand on his own anymore now, and cutting off this little joint here at the jaw, we've got ourselves a fully posable Tyrannosaurus Rex. Awesome. And kids, please don't destroy a Lego. I'm just kidding, sacrifices need to be made in order to achieve greatness. So with our Rex situation all figured out, I assembled the rest of our cast, namely Alan, the two kids, and a custom figure for the blood-sucking lawyer. However, I was lacking a figure for Ian Malcolm, and I also did not have a Ford Explorer, but luckily, killing two birds with one stone, I found this set right here for a good price. And I know, the question in everyone's mind is, does it come with a Lego frog? Yes. Yes, it does. And this wonderful set is just what we need. It's got both Ian Malcolm as well as this fantastic build for the Ford Explorer. Only the set also comes with Ellie, but we won't be needing her for this one. But Maxwell, won't you be needing two cars for the scene? Well, not if you're a witty wizard, like me. Which means that we can take off the first point on our checklist. Awesome. And after completing the first point, I was totally ready to start building the film set and start animating. But then, an unforeseen evil emerged that obstructed all of my plans. And this evil, dear ladies and gentlemen, turned out to be mud. You see, pretty much the entire original scene takes place in this area in front of the paddock that is completely filled with mud. Now how on earth do you recreate mud when making a LEGO stop-motion movie? Because we can't just use real mud, as the surface needs to be perfectly solid, so we can fixate the minifigures and Rexy on top of them with sticky tack to enable them to walk around. And I don't quite have enough brown LEGO plates to do the job either. So it seems like we have to come up with our own mud solution. Yeah, that's right guys, welcome to Art Attack! Well, after digging up all sorts of art supplies I had lying around at home, I came up with a muddy solution. By mixing together brown and black acrylic paint with Strukturschnee, as well as decoration sands, creating this delightfully gross mixture. Delicious! I then got hold of some flat canvases to paint it onto. And after some painting and almost passing out because of the overwhelming smell of acrylic paint, here we have our ground fully of mud. And this looks absolutely perfect. You know, I spared no expense. And for the rest of the scene, I just used the jungle background that I had still lying around from my old Jurassic World projects. Built some nice trees and other botanical stuff, and made this fence construction by also utilizing some Technic elements, as well as getting hold of some aluminum wire to complete the fence. And with blue lighting to capture the night atmosphere, our scene is all set up. That built, it's time to move on to the animation. Except there's one more thing we have to build, namely the interior of the two cars, in which a significant portion of the scene takes place in. But because the proportions of a LEGO figure and a LEGO car aren't nearly the same as in real life, we can't just use the Ford LEGO set for all the interior shots because, well, it's way too small. Instead, we have to stitch together our own car interior builds that fit the scale of the LEGO minifigures. And yep, that looks incredibly freaky from the outside, but it makes perfect sense from the camera's perspective. And since this whole scene takes place in the rain, I made sure to prepare this water spraying bottle to keep them windows wet and full of droplets at all times to really enhance the rainy atmosphere. And while I'm unfortunately no waterbender, that'd be so helpful for scenes like that, honestly, I did receive help from my favorite co-animator, Gravity, which means that some shots accidentally have these water droplets perfectly running down, which looks way too cool and turned out to be a neat coincidence. Enhance the stormy atmosphere. I replicated those with another swan neck light that I only turned on every other frame to execute this lightning effect. So before we get to animating the Tyrannosaurus Rex himself, let's have a look at the shot that broke me. The shot that had me desperately looking for a solution. And this shot, obviously just... And wait a second, I think there's a hair in my water. Oh my god, it's the like and subscribe buttons that you should totally hit if you've been enjoying this video so far and want to see more awesome LEGO videos. So the first and easiest step was to acquire the cups themselves, which I accomplished by taking these glass pieces here and cutting the top part off. All that's left to do now is to put in some water droplets. But let's get to the elephant in the room. Didn't I already make this joke before? So how do you animate water vibrating in a LEGO stop motion movie? Well, the simple answer is you don't. Seriously, no, that doesn't work, okay? Which means that we're gonna have to do this in live action. So fun fact, for the original scene, Spielberg actually... But we can! Okay, that's not working. Okay, but with Jurassic Park, the filmmakers instead had to resort to the next best thing, which was to essentially turn the entire car into a guitar to then pluck the string to make the water vibrate in the perfect way. Huh? Well, I am no guitar player, but I am a bass player, so maybe if we put this thing on the table and slap it, it might work. Okay, nope. And that's when I realized something.
What the hell is... Why is the water Spider-Man now?
So as it turns out, because the LEGO cups are so small, the surface tension of the water is way too high for anything to be able to make it move. That is the single stupidest issue that I've ever encountered. I guess I didn't say the magic word, but I didn't give up there, as I eventually came up with a solution. And this solution didn't turn out to be water bending, it turned out to be air bending. Yes, by taking a straw and blowing air into the direction of the cups, it finally worked out. And it ended up looking absolutely spot on. So with most of the current hero shots completed, let's get to animating the big guy, shall we? So the hardest part about animating these large characters is to keep them in the air during their walk cycle. But luckily, the majority of the Rexy shots don't have her walking around as much, with most of them just showing her goofing around and learning about her surroundings while trying to feast on innocent children. Lovely. I even deliberately had to take the legs off for some of the shots, which made my process kinda resemble the one from the actual Jurassic Park with the animatronic T-Rex.
They're the same picture.
But for those shots that do feature some walking, I was able to keep Rexy in the air with the help of my beloved, literally Lego rig. But guys, animating this Lego dinosaur is so freaking awkward. You see, any normal leg has joints in all those places with which you can actually move and walk properly, alright? Whereas the official Lego T-Rex just has those legs that are a single piece, making this process a little whack, but nothing I'm not able to tackle. And as you can see, those are the shots where the iconic torches appear, for which I prepared a little LED. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. I also had a lot of fun animating the T-Rex trying to eat the children, as I could come up with a few cool ways to execute the shots, like this one here. That is just the hands and arms fixated onto a transparent plastic screen with Rexy behind. And of course, let's not forget about everyone's favorite moment, the toilet. And luckily, the whole hut breaking down fits into the Lego world seamlessly. Shots of stuff breaking down are just as satisfying to animate as they are to watch. And this one here obviously also was a delight to animate. And now we have finally arrived at the final set of our mud. So I covered her with some sticky tack painted brown, and now she looks adequately gross. So building this thing required the sacrifice of a lot of grey tiles, but after some scavenging and putting some of the fences on top, our wall is standing strong. I'm once again using aluminum wire for the literal wire that Alan and Lex are holding onto. And to keep them stable on the side, I'm of course also using sticky tack again. But gravity does still in fact point downwards, so this one took a lot of patience and mental strength to get right, as the figures kept getting loose and started to tumble down. Especially the shot, because if I messed this up in any way, this relatively heavy plastic vehicle would come crashing down exactly onto my freaking camera lens. Which is why I made extra sure that this setup for holding the car in the air was sturdy as heck. And with this one finished, there are only 2 more shots remaining, with the first one being the one with the car crashing into the trees. So I prepared a little jungle that took way too long to stitch together, even though it's only appearing for this one shot, but since the car is way too big, I had to make a miniature variant that fits the scale perfectly. And for the great finale, I saved myself the best for last, with one last victorious roar by the T-Rex. Fantastic. So now that we've got everything animated, it is time to move on to making the visual effects. This is where I masked out all of the rigs holding characters in the air, and I also did some color grading. And lastly, I added this nice rain effect. The rain part was mostly pretty straightforward, but there were certain shots in which only a small portion of the frame was submerged in the rain, for which I had to mask in the rain in the right spots by hand. And since I used the water spray gun for the water droplets all the time when I was filming, the rain effect fits into the scene absolutely effortlessly. I also had to remove all the cables from the LEDs and added in this flare effect for the torches. And combined with the red light from the LEDs, this effect is looking absolutely natural. I really spared no expenses, and now the final secret ingredient will be to add some camera movement. There are a lot of dynamic camera pans in the original scene, but I simply did not have the nerve to film them exactly like that when I was animating. So I instead filmed the frame a little larger than usual, so everything fits on screen, to then add in the extra camera movements later. I also added a shaky cam effect for the more dramatic sequences to really match the energy of the moments. And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, voice acting! Except no, there is no voice acting today. No, but for real, I don't know anyone who's able to scream this authentically. so the original film audio will have to do for today. And well guys, this is everything for the post-production, which means that after this long journey, our LEGO Jurassic Park T-Rex escape scene is finally completed. So please have a look and enjoy.
Oh, cool, night vision. Where's the goat? Oh, Jesus. He left us. He left us.
Now, where does he think he's going? When you gotta go, you gotta go. Boy, do I hate being right all the time. Keep absolutely still. This vision's based on movement.
Turn the light off! Turn it off! I'm sorry!
Here's Johnny.
I'm stuck! She's got my feet!
I'll catch you next. You're okay. Don't move. You can't see us if we don't move.
Max, it took me! Grab the wire!
Well guys, I sincerely hope you enjoyed this little project of mine. It was once again a whole lot of work, so it would mean the world to me if it brought a smile to your face. Anyway, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, a super enormous thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Kiesel1503, Hartl, Ali Bells, Okram DHS, The Mallard Kid, Nate Brown Jr. and Moldy Bricks YT. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. You guys seriously are absolute legends. And if you still feel like it, be sure to check out one of these other amazing videos. I'm confident you'll have a great time with them. So well, that's all for today folks. See you soon and lots of hugs. Bye.